When people recommend immersive sims, the most common games to be named are BioShock for its legacy and innovation to consoles, System Shock for being the OG, or even Deus Ex due to its amazing quality.
The man himself, splendid. Do accept my apologies about the situation topside?
A refreshing change from the Academy, sir.
Don't despise training, my boy.
As a person who grew up with and loved the genre, there's one game that I feel has never gotten the recognition it deserved until late, and even then, it's still rare to hear about it outside of the people in the know. The game is so good that I would call the perfect immersive sim, and possibly the best one ever.
Hello, Morgan. Hello,
Prey by Arcane Studios.
Tough day, right? Tough day, right? If I'm talking to myself, it must be. We've been testing a new kind of neuromod based on the Typhon organisms. You've seen what those creatures can do. Once testing starts, there's no going back.
Take your time, relax, think it over. No, I'm kidding. You only have 9 seconds.
Warning. This is a station-wide emergency.
If just one of those creatures gets back to Earth, we're lost.
The tests, they changed you.
I'm sorry. I wish there was another way. Nothing can survive.
Whenever you're ready, Morgan.
It is downright criminal that so few people have played this, and that's why I really want to show you and talk about what made Prey really that great and why it deserved more recognition. Prey puts you in the shoes of Morgan Yu, the Vice President and Director of Research of TranStar Industries, a high-tech American megacorp in the very distant future of 2035. You are said to do some routine tests before heading up to the Corp's Pride, Talos 1 space station. After the test's less than ideal ending,
Oh my god! Security! Security! What are you aiming at?
you discover that you have been living the same day over and over and over, trapped in these tests with everything you just did being a simulation on Talos 1, where an alien outbreak is in full effect. The alien race is known as the Typhon, and is similar to the xenomorphs in how it reproduces, and is equally great a threat to Earth and humanity. Your goal is given to you by a version of yourself you can't remember, and it's to destroy Talos 1 to prevent the fall of humanity, as well as discovering yours and who you really are. You can do this in peak immersive sim gameplay by finding your own way and choosing how you want to play through a variety of options, discovering the truth, helping or killing who you want, sneaking, combat, and learning new skills via neuromods. TranStar's latest and greatest product that allows one to implant skills and knowledge into your person from another's data and brain scans with just a single incredibly terrifying self-use medical tool. A tool which not only lets you implant human skills, but also those of the aliens you're fighting, which implies a much darker relation between TranStar's research and the Typhon threat. An absolutely amazing premise with one of the greatest reveals that you are in a simulation on a space station ever. The game really is an experience that you won't get anywhere else, and you must try, especially with how well it immerses you in Morgan's shoes in this meticulously thought out station.
Your office.
And speaking of Talos 1, let's talk about the graphics and world. When first stepping foot into Talos, you can tell this game is drop dead gorgeous, from both an artistic view as well as its graphical fidelity. Fortunately for us, nowadays it really doesn't require a beefy system to run this. It was released on the PS4 after all, so it doesn't require anything crazy, but outputs something pretty regardless. Talos itself is a sprawling station that looks and feels like it was worked in and designed to function. Outside of these computer screens that, while nice and big, have a UI design made for an ogre. But it still adds to the effort put into each section to make them feel different from each other and feel completely unique. The lobby is opulent and welcoming, a technological marvel, but instantly contrasted by showing us a hull breach as soon as we enter. The Neuromod division is an analytical feeling testing area. The Arboretum, I don't know how to pronounce that word.
Arboretum.
is a beautiful natural greenery. Then Guts makes you feel like you are in the depths of the station where only engineers belong. Then Crew Quarters feels lived in and like it was shaped by the people here, and it feels absolutely mind-blowing when you're finally allowed out of the station in 0G and get to see the full scale of what you will by the end of this experience know like the back of your hand. Also, since I know pretty much most of my viewers are big Bioshock fans like me, yes, this game does also have an Art Deco style, decorating everything with a very geometrical feel. However, in difference to Bioshock, this isn't the 50s, and instead is a rendition of what modern Art Deco would look like in the future. Truth be told, I absolutely love it, and this game's style has always been on my mind as being completely unmatched. That environment is not only beautiful, but logically inhabited, with plenty of items, furniture, signs, and even the corpses of the people who worked here. And with the game's mimic enemies that play a spicy game of prop hunt, everything and anything could technically be an enemy hiding in plain sight. Enemies that are dark and look like they take up the light around them, with glowing eyes and constantly moving flesh. These are the Typhon, and some with elemental effects show off the game's fantastical particle effects with electricity and fire that come out of them, or broken parts of Talos they caused. NPC models likewise are also pretty good here in this game's art style. Once again, the game isn't totally realistic, instead aiming for an artistic style that is slightly exaggerated, but still aged fairly well. Although I will admit the walk cycle for security is weird, as they walk like they're built like the characters from Condemned Criminal Origins.
And the path takes strange turns.
Freeze! Police! Drop the weapon now!
You yourself get to see all of this with a relatively minimalist UI, with only essential information and other elements, like ammo or scanning being on the weapons or devices you use. This can even be interrupted by EMPs or malfunctions. Outside of the humans and Typhon, the station has two robots that are very common and useful. These are the operators and turrets, which are always a sight for sore eyes. Of course, like everything else, they have a fantastic texture work and use color to distinguish the operators for their type, like green for medical or orange for technical. They also have a hostile variant covered in ick with the red eye. My personal favorite, the turrets, remind me of alien sentry guns and serve the same purpose, but due to their design animations, show they are very flimsy and unstable pieces of junk made out of desperation.
That was the last one. I hope.
Amazingly, not only is this game pretty, but the audio work is so good here it helps bring this experience all together. Talos has so much going on, it is genuinely crazy how many of the sounds are so tailored to making your experience completely immersive. Just walking around makes you feel like trudging through a desolate station. Breaking or smacking things like glass has great feedback, weapons sound appropriately strong like the amazing shotgun or stun gun, and enemies sound completely out of this world. It's even better as you're reminded time after time that you are in a falling apart station as you hear Talos 1's alerts and churning all around you, from the hull breaches as well as the damage it's taking as the Typhon continue to tear this place apart, in an almost ethereal way. And when you finally get to go on a spacewalk outside to see the full extent for yourself, you get possibly the best sound design ever done for a spacewalk.
Microgravity detected.
It's out of this world, being able to hear your own breaths, boosters, and muffled sounds from things you do or are around you. Of course, bumping into things too fast even gives you a little bit of Morgan's voice acting, which you won't hear a lot of yourself because you are a silent protagonist. Luckily, we have two things to fill this void. One, which is perpetually around, is the absolutely fantastic soundtrack written and composed by Mick Gordon, and yeah, it is absolutely perfect.
Mr. Yu, please make yourself comfortable and we'll be on our way. TranStar facility is just a short hop. 78 degrees, clear skies all the way.
There are plenty of tracks that vary from intense, stressful, beautiful, fun, and awing. actually so much variety. All you've been hearing as background music this whole video is the game's OST, but it's not even just this video, as I use it in a lot of my other ones. The second is January, an operator allegedly created by you, serves as your consciousness, or at least that previous versions of you's mind, and serves a role similar to Atlas in the first half of Bioshock.
Hello, Morgan. It's time we spoke. My code name is January. You're not dreaming. What happened yesterday was real. If you want to know what's going on, first, you need to get out of your apartment building. You're not safe.
I'm not gonna lie. Male January is one of the most memorable performances for me in gaming, and it's mainly due to the writing in combination with the acting. He isn't too emotional because he isn't supposed to be, but that writing is just so good it makes him a fantastic character.
The psychoscope was a breakthrough. Apart from neuromods, it's the most important tech on Talos 1. Use it to scan the Typhon organisms if you want to learn what makes them tick. You invented it, by the way.
This is even better when given the other characters like your brother, Alex Yu, played by the amazing Benedict Wong. I understand he's a big actor, which shouldn't surprise me that his voice acting is so good, but it really does just work here and create a great dynamic with January as the two voices you will hear consistently all across your journey.
Psychotronics is the opposite of safe, Morgan. What are you after? Someone's helping you. Is it Michaela? Elazar?
I can eavesdrop on your brother's messages. We're in agreement on this one. Get through this place fast as possible.
Once again, like every immersive sim, the cast is filled with plenty of characters through audio logs where the voice acting and writing once again shines. These logs tell entire subplots about events prior and during the Typhon outbreak that give life to the station and what happened, with environmental storytelling which every single corner of Talos is littered with, making the world feel incredibly dense.
I can hear the Weaver through the walls. Son of a bitch is gloating, I know it. How are you holding up?
I dropped a couple of nightlights to lure the phantoms away. Put sticky notes on every goddamn thing I'm sure isn't a mimic. You?
Good. Safe inside the armory. Squashed a mimic that slipped in, but that's it. I got everything sealed tight.
What's our plan?
Wait for rescue?
You know, if we make it, Alex is just going to pull our mods.
You want to remember this shit?
I think we could get out through the guts. Work our way up to the Arboretum.
Okay. Say the word.
I really love how this not only gives life, but also lets you feel like you really got to know most of the staff at Talos and their relationships. Like who's dating, who screwed each other over, and who's as alcoholic as my stepfather. I really liked a lot of these characters, and you will find at least 3 you do as well, because they are really that well written. It makes it a little saddening when using one of the security stations to track staff, and see if they died, or if there's a chance to save them. It's gameplay mechanics that blend into the world naturally such as this that makes this game what it is. Natural to the world is how most if not all the mechanics in this game really do feel. To support this, when starting the game you have a few difficulty options, from very easy to survival. Now, typically I don't like survival modes like in New Vegas because they feel tacked on, but I really think this is the way to do it. It genuinely adds some scare factor to the game and makes you feel like you really are in Morgan's shoes. Especially with injuries and weapon maintenance added. It forces you to lean on and take advantage of all of the core mechanics of this game. Talos 1 itself, as a functional station, has plenty of things out there for you to discover, such as the previously mentioned logs, but also secret rooms, codes, and pathways that encourage and reward exploration. It's how you want to get to a certain point that lets you play the game how you want to with this game's many options. Take this area for example. When you're first in the hardware labs and have to get around this area, if you have the hacking skills, you can just hack through the door. A minigame that isn't too hard and doesn't overstay its welcome, to reach a staircase that takes you up. Alternatively, you could just find the password. Or if you want to go around everything, you could use the glue gun to make platforms to get you all the way up. The glue gun is also one of the 2 weapons designed not just for combat, but also exploration. The second being a Nerf crossbow the staff use for fun that can hit those large screens, or buttons if you can get a line of sight to go around things you can't reach, or even to blow up exploder enemies. Later, you can use that glue gun or an EMP to disable a panel that would kill you if you get close, to run by it and use leverage to force the door open. Or if you have engineering, repair it. You could of course just find a maintenance hatch to avoid all of this. This is where Prey really shines, using the game's mechanics to find wacky, exploitative, and unique ways to find your way around, such as using throwables designed for combat like the EMP to disable enemies' abilities or disable electronics, or recycler charges designed to get you resources from all the various objects to remove an obstacles you don't have the skill check yet for. And if you have that gamer brain of checking every corner for something hidden, you will be rewarded in one way or another, and that makes someone like me want to keep exploring and discovering the mysteries of Talos 1. As you can probably guess, a world this thought out and expansive will be filled with details to occupy it. These things are really varied and there really isn't enough space to highlight exactly how many things there are here. But just looking around in the station, you can tell this place really was lived in. Every room or office has something that you would believe to be here. From toys, clothes, food, samples, workstations, things that make this world feel alive. And these things could be the previously mentioned mimics, the game's most compelling enemies. These guys can be literally anything and jump out to attack you. It makes the game, especially on survival, incredibly anxiety-inducing as you have to keep on your toes, as the slightest thing can make you suspicious. Too many chairs with some knocked over? Could be a few mimics or just the result of a fight that happened. It could just be the coffee mug on the table, or even the health kit you were looking to grab this whole time. I don't know who thought to make prop hunt a vital enemies mechanic, but it was a perfect choice for this game. The other enemies, while fun, aren't too varied but are generally pretty unique. We have phantoms which perform ranged attacks that hit very hard and can come in different elements.
Material detected.
Technopaths, which control the station's automated security and shut down power. Telepaths that control humans and turn them against you. And even invisible enemies that turn the section into a mini horror experience while you hunt down what's out of sight. Few enemies, but this small handful is more than enough for the whole game. Of course, you need to be able to actually fight back, and you have quite an interesting amount of tools at your disposal. First of all, you have the previously mentioned shotgun, which is one of my favorites in gaming. Then a silenced pistol, which makes sense on a space station, against flesh and electronic enemies. A prototype laser weapon that causes enemies to explode, and a selection of experimental devices, and most dangerous of all, a wrench.
This is brilliant, but I like this.
These weapons form your arsenal that can be upgraded with kits and specialize in with the neuromods that let you do more upgrades and get higher damage. You can also upgrade your scanner and suit with chipsets. These add buffs for the most part, like alcoholism that make it so you don't get drunk, or a literal booster for your drums. Outside of the small things like those, the neuromods are your main progression for skills that are both human and alien. Human skills allow you to do things such as upgrade tech weapons, engineering skills, hacking, strength, first aid, or firearms training. Typhon mods allow you to get the exact skills the enemies use, like mind control, telepathy, teleportation, and even being a mimic. But in order to get these skills, you need to find them by studying enemies with the psychoscope. Think of it like Bioshock's camera, where you just look at them to get points, but it makes far more sense here in the scientific environment of Talos. Once enough data on the enemies is found to unlock abilities, you can put them into you with the neuromods you find or make, which is yet another layer of complexity I haven't mentioned yet because this game just has so much going for it. Recycling and production. You can grab pretty much everything and recycle it into its base resources to make more useful stuff like ammo, medkits, or even neuromods. An absolute nightmare for someone like me who ends up carrying 25 apples just like Skyrim. You recycle stuff by going to this recycler and dumping all your stuff into it. But some things can't be held in your inventory, like a whole chair or desk or even this weird replayer thing which no one knows what it actually is. This is where recycler charges come in and can be used to recycle literally anything not nailed down and get resources. That does include you or enemies, so be careful, or use that knowledge to get you to places you normally can't or shouldn't be at this time. But back to business. After making or finding those mods and putting them into Typhon skills and sacrificing your humanity, security will see you differently. The turrets, which used to be your friends, will see you as an alien and start to shoot you if you install more than 2, meaning you must have hacking skills or possess them to make them friendly again. I absolutely adore these consequences for losing your humanity. It makes you really feel like the repercussions of what you're doing outside of being just told it's bad. Repercussions that the story is all about made a fantastic motivation to move forward and explore every inch of Talos. Although from what I've played countless times, this story is one of the few parts people have some issue with, and I understand. And I will admit, if you aren't fully immersed, it can be a little boring, which is a big problem with Prey. Personally, I did find it to be really good though, especially the messaging. So here I'm going to talk about Prey's story beats at length, as outside of the premise, the game really gets going with spoilers right off the bat, and with how much content there is, you really can make a video just on the drama at Talos. So I'll cover just the main strokes and ideas, and leave a lot of the side stories for you to discover, but if you want to avoid spoilers, I give and the analysis, go ahead here for my conclusion and final thoughts. Morgan, as mentioned before, is VP of Research and put himself up for being the test subject for the first Typhon-based neuromods. This requires the removal of those neuromods over and over and over. However, neuromods have one flaw. When you remove them, it resets your memory to the date you installed them, so it caused Morgan to forget over and over and over, although it was consensual. But they consistently skipped the part of reminding Morgan who he was. Over time, Morgan created 3 distinct operators to keep track of his memory just in case something went south, and eventually the personality drift made him hate the experiments and lost it a little. Eventually, the Typhon finally broke containment, as we see in the intro, and January, the last operator Morgan made, managed to get things together for our escape. It's then when we wake up for the last time and are given that great transition to Talos. It's up to us, a version of Morgan with no memory of anything outside of what happened that we already know. After escaping the tests, we are let out into the Neuromod division where we can explore freely. This area shows us a little bit of what life is like for the volunteers. Not great and used as lab rats. More importantly, we learned that it seemed like a decent portion of the staff were aware of what was going on with you, meaning that almost every important individual on Talos knew what was happening and did nothing to help you. Are you really willing to help these people, or will you let them die in this situation? January then guides us out and shows us a video that we have to do extra work to get working in the hardware labs, as our brother, Alex, doesn't want us to see it.
Hello, Morgan. Tough day, right? If I'm talking to myself, it must be. Now, your memory's shot full of holes. I know. I'm sorry, but it's permanent. So the first thing you need to know is you can trust January. It's an operator, a sort of backup of you and me. It knows what you've forgotten. We've been testing a new kind of neuromod based on the Typhon organisms, mapping their neural patterns onto ours. Problem is, when you uninstall a neuromod, it resets your memory back to the moment you first put it in. That's why you forget. There's supposed to be a process to bring you back up to speed between test runs. But someone could just skip that part, turn a single day into your entire life. Well, that's exactly what Alex did. The question is, why? You're not gonna like what I have to say next.
Every one of those damn videos. Sorry, but I can't let you listen to that. Not until I've had a chance to explain everything in person. For now, just... Damn it. I have to go. Just sit tight. Please.
Alex versus January is the main conflict in the game that follows us. Alex at this point really doesn't explain anything and works against us, while January, being a former version of us as Wishes, is the only person we can trust, so we do that for now. The labs really highlights that while this is a highly advanced space station, the workers can have their fun, even if there is drama in the ballistics labs about an advanced weapon project that we can find the result of later, as well as a secret military operator program. Long story short, here is where a lot of corporate secrets and bullshit are produced. We get through and fix the looking glasses that send our message, then go back to get our main goal.
You have to destroy Talos 1. The research, the Typhon, nothing can survive, including you. I know how it sounds, but you've seen what those creatures can do. They're a part of you now. If even one cell gets back to Earth, we're lost. I'm sorry. I wish there was another way. January can walk you through activating the self-destruct mechanism. Alex will try to stop you. He's allergic to failure. Too proud to go back to Mom and Dad with his tail between his legs. So it's up to you now. Good luck. Told you wouldn't like it.
Destroy Talos 1 at all costs. But this requires two things. We gotta get ours and Alex's arming keys to initiate Talos' self-destruct. Ours is in deep storage, but the elevator is down, which you get unique dialogue for if you don't go to the elevator like January says.
You're heading to Psycho... wait. Okay, I see. Did you already know about the main lift? It's malfunctioning. I'm not sure why, but the car is stuck at the top. There's another route through the psychotronics lab. Morgan, that lab is where the Typhon broke containment. Please be careful.
So, we are required to go through Psychotronics to Guts, then the Arboretum, which gives us access to every part of the station. Psychotronics is where Typhon research was conducted, and we need a psychoscope to progress. It's a scanner that lets us get data from enemies like Bioshock's camera, but better. This data lets us use Typhon abilities at the cost of our own humanity, which January warns us about, but Alex encourages us to do it because apparently it was our plan this whole time, but we just don't remember. Applying the first mod, you can kinda see what he means.
You better do something. The reconstruction is destabilizing.
They're lying to you.
Hurry.
How does it feel? Do you remember? The first time you said it was like you were outside yourself, like time itself had bent its knee, waiting for You moved my chair without touching it. Gave me chills. The possibilities. You became something new that day. Something higher.
But moving along, it's here in Psychotronics that we get to see that the Typhon were discovered in the late 50s by the Soviet Union trying to fix a satellite. The Typhon, as we see, were always incredibly hostile and preyed on us with ease. The Soviets couldn't control it and asked Kennedy, yes, that JFK, whose assassination attempt failed, for help. They established a station which was designed to research the aliens, which eventually failed and was left derelict. Years pass, and TranStar buys the station and made it into their pride, known as Talos 1. Evidently, we didn't learn from the sins of the past and made the same mistakes. A mistake us and our fellow staff are now left to deal with, or Earth falls. It's here we are given our first real moral choice, with a volunteer known as Aaron trapped in this cage. Aaron seems to be stuck here for a test of sorts, which if you choose to activate, releases a mimic, which kills him and multiplies. And given we need Typhon material for neuromods, this is most definitely the cost of making them. Human lives. Something designed to uplift humanity costs humanity. So this just leaves you with a choice. Do you condemn this man for his crimes, just because you want to know what happens? Or let him go, which he is really grateful for? There's really no correct answer here with Battle Pass XP as a reward. It's just up to you to decide if you think you did the right thing. Next thing is getting through Guts, which as a design is fantastic. This is the zero-G depth of the ship, with very little staff or even infrastructure to house them, instead being mostly just the necessary components of Talos. This place can fast-track you anywhere, even places you actually aren't supposed to be at this point of the game, ignoring the long walks and potential combat. However, the big issues are twofold. In zero-G, if you aren't careful and just speed through really fast, you can totally kill yourself via terminal velocity. The other is the trade-off that Guts gets you around really fast, but it's also incredibly hostile, with some of the most annoying and most difficult enemies to fight in zero-G. You can, however, find clever paths by ruining some ventilation, or just looking to see if any of your engineering skills come to use anywhere. Getting out of here, we get to the Arboretum, which is essentially our second connecting area after the lobby. As the lobby connected everything we needed in the first act of the game, this is where the rest of the game will essentially be staged out of, and where Alex's office overlooks. Admittedly, nothing really story-wise is important here at the moment besides three things. One is you can go take this door to find the culprit behind the elevator issues, making traveling around the station much easier, but you can get ambushed on the elevator just like in the new Dead Space. Second is this is where December's quest ends at Alex's office, which also ends the game if you do follow his questline completely. If you do get to Alex's office, you also get some unique dialogue for being there early and some characterization.
You used to sneak into my room when we were kids, hack into my computer. I still remember when you ruined my Galactic Conquistador save files. I broke your arm when I found out. I regret that now. But I'm still not fond of you messing with my stuff.
I actually really love how all of this secret stuff still gives crazy amounts of fun character details. The last big thing is saving characters here trapped in the greenhouse. They are mind controlled and will talk to you and explode their heads like the boys to kill themselves. There's a couple ways to save them. One is to stun them before they get close, thus making them not a problem, or kill the telepaths controlling them. Typically, that's the best way, as to be honest, if you're trying to save every human, these AI for mind-controlled humans are really bad and often kill themselves, making that achievement for 100% survival of humans an absolute nightmare. Saving them gives you a thank you and they will appear later. We do encounter one more big issue here. The door to deep storage is locked by the head of IT, Danielle Sho, because of course it is. So we have to go to crew quarters to make a voice sample to unlock the door. Crew quarters is where we can save the most people and get a few little plot points. One is the cook who held himself up in the kitchen, who we can help if we so desire. We quickly discover if you just happen to look at the picture on the logs, then he isn't the cook and locks us in the freezer. We do find some staff murdered, including what is likely the original cook, who we seem to be at least friendly with. He runs away after our escape, and plants recycler charge traps that are perpetually an issue for the rest of the game. There's also an entire D&D subplot that we can follow for a reward. Nice little treat and way to bring the life to Talos if you want to dig deeper. Even every person's room has their own little quirks to them, but for our main job, you can find enough logs to make us a voice sample, or if you listen to enough of the logs and find the right ones, we can find her after clearing out the gym.
Morgan? If you're here, then Abby didn't make it, did she? I can help. I know you need to get into deep storage. I voice locked it, but I have the override that bypasses the random word input. Set your transcribe to record. Alex, Oedipus complex, pompous, nepotist. No offense to your brother, but that should be enough. But watch your step. There's someone else in crew quarters pretending to be the cook. His tracking bracelet's from Psychotronics, but the ID doesn't make any sense. I think he's the one that killed Abby. If you can, make sure he doesn't get off the station. I'll see what else I can do to help from out here. For as long as I can. Goodbye, Morgan.
The cook killed her girlfriend, who was one of the people in the fridge. She begs you to kill him and tells you he's actually a volunteer in hiding. We kinda already figured out he's not who he says he is, but this might actually be partially our fault, given how many horrible things we personally did and authorized here. Regardless, we gotta get our key, and in the words of Zaid Masani, in's easy, out's a bitch.
Director level override. Not down anything.
Sorry, Morgan, but I have to lock you in this time. When I trashed your arming key, it was to keep you from making a huge mistake. It's too late to stick our heads in the sand. We're committed now. You should be safe in deep storage. When everything is ready, we'll meet in my office. I hope you believe me. I really am on your side. You're just not yourself.
Upon arriving in deep storage, Alex immediately locks us in and puts the station in lockdown, promising that we would be safe despite the enemies literally in sight, and that he will tell us everything eventually, and that he's on our side. Surprisingly, this section is actually stupidly easy and can be done in under 5 minutes if you just ignore the enemies and repair the system and get your key. But even if you do that, we're still locked in. If Sho is alive, she will tell you how to leave and help you for the last time, and likely as her last action, even though she still hates you. So we blast off into space.
You're not what they say you are.
Can it hear us?
Rejecting the new cell lines, fighting them off like an antivirus.
Then are contacted by the last holdout, where the chief of security and the rest of her team are hiding in the cargo bay. You've actually gotten hints from this a couple times along the way, but the game actually does make the mistake of having someone like January call you when you walk by, so you really can't hear when they're talking over the station's PA.
That lab is where the Typhon broke containment. Please be careful.
Damn it.
First they give us pop guns, put us on babysitting duty, then open the gates of hell and lock us in. TranStar's going to need an army of lawyers when I get Earthside.
On the way as you fly there, you can save Dr. Igwe, who worked on biomods, or blow him out into space. He knew about what you were put through and was even involved, so you can get that revenge if you want or show mercy, which he'd be very grateful for, but also sound a little shocked.
Oh, at last. I thought that crate would be my coffin. Even the stale air of Talos laced with a faint hint of nicotine and antibacterians. Oh, it's like spring. You have my thanks, Dr. Yu. But I thought... Well, you're no longer running the memory hamster wheel, I see. I hope you're coming in after me. Would be good to see a familiar face.
Here you can also help defend the cargo bay, going on the offensive to retake much of it with the security team, or kill everyone since you plan to destroy the station anyway. If you don't go psycho and kill everyone, this is where all the saved NPCs will go. This does bring the moral question of, is it worth saving everyone you can, giving them false hope, if you still plan on dooming them all eventually? Assuming you still want to blow everything up, of course. We move on and get access to life support to reboot the entire station to lift the lockdown. We can meet our ex here, who didn't know what happened to us and assumed we just ghosted her as due to discovering a medical issue she has. This wasn't the case, as we just straight up forgot her. Unlucky for us, she's out of meds for that disease she has and is about to die, setting a timer for her death. This section is surprisingly pretty bland, so I personally rushed the reset, which is cool, and then go get her meds because out of every character, I actually don't see a case for letting her die or killing her. She honestly is just a victim here and wouldn't be here if it wasn't for us. Lifting the lockdown, Alex contacts us, saying we're smart, but admits defeat and inability to stop you. He then invites us to talk things out in his office. Now, doing this initiates the last part of the game, so if you saved Igwe and Michaela, go back to your office as they can give you side quests and unique dialogue. Igwe just asked for a near mod based on a musician him and his sadly deceased wife saw. Nothing important in the grand scale of anything, but deeply important to him. Michaela asks for what happened to her father, who apparently was here, and who is also why she's here. If you find it, you find out he was used for data on mimics and fed to them, while we authorized it and scanned them for data.
32 is showing signs of distress. Elevated cortisol, heart rate, perspiration. Nothing in the red yet.
Look at me. Look at the man you're killing.
Mimic is in the tube.
Permission to release? Morgan?
What you do kills us both.
Release.
What
a shame.
Typhon cacoplasma specimen is in the chamber with subject 32.
The final quests are if you make it to the bridge, you can find the fake chef who've been hounding us like crazy all game.
Morgan, you... This pod will work, but I do not know how to launch it. We are over now.
If you disarm the bomb, he just dies from like asthma or something. I really don't know what's going on here. It kind of feels like a missed opportunity or an unfinished part of the game.
Pod will work. We are over now.
Security reminder. Sticky notes, even well-hidden ones, are not a secure means of storage.
The bridge itself, though, has a slight, kind of sort of not really side mission with no actual consequences. You see, there's a ship that left before the outbreak. One that they don't know had Typhon or not heading to Earth. You can choose to destroy it, killing everyone aboard, being better safe than sorry, or let them go and hope they don't have any stowaways, which could easily destroy Earth. This really is up to you, as once again, there is no right or wrong here. There is no way to know what is actually on that ship. Just what do you think is morally right? Pressing the button, potentially saving Earth but ending all their lives? Or hoping they got lucky? Back to Alex's office, he isn't there but shows us this.
My name is Morgan Yu. Year is 2035. I'm aboard the Talos 1 research facility. What else?
Why are we making this video?
Right. Because my big brother is paranoid. Psychometric data is showing statistically significant variance in personality patterns between trial runs of the new neuromods. Whatever. I feel more like myself than ever. I mean, look at this. We did it, Alex. It's real.
Enjoy it while you can, because in a few minutes, it'll all be gone when we strip out the neuromods and reset.
I know.
including my memory of it.
No way around it. Let's talk about the backup.
So, the Typhon organisms have been producing an elaborate structure. Material is unknown, purpose unknown. And my gut tells me it's a kind of neural framework, but externalized. Still waiting on analysis to confirm. In the meantime, I've given Alex the design for a device I think could shut it down if it ever broke containment. Alex just has to grow a pair and commit.
You don't have to take all the credit. What if it doesn't work?
It'll work. Trust me. What else are we gonna do? Blow everything up? That won't save us.
And if it does work, is it worth it?
The people that come after us will be smarter, stronger, immortal. They can judge us if they want. But they'll know they exist because of the things we did. I'm ready. Do it.
We did all of this consensually and wanted this. It was us who convinced Alex, who was originally against all of this, to keep trying to save the data on Typhon mods, which were designed to transcend humanity. Everything that happened, in some way, is our fault, and Alex just wants his brother back. But is that brother really us anymore? Is that the person you think you are? That's up to you to decide. But right now, we are given the controversial last act.
Morgan, transfers hold it. Something or someone should.
This is Commander Walter Dahl. The TranStar Board of Directors has authorized me to take full command of Talos 1, effective immediately. All employees must now report to the shuttle bay for evacuation. Those of you unable to comply, transmit an SOS and my team of rescue operators will locate you. One last thing. Alex and Morgan Yu have been relieved of their positions. Do not consent to their requests or assist them in any way. Dahl out.
TranStar's board, well, your parents, has had enough and sent their HR consultant, Dahl, a mercenary, to kill everyone on Talos 1 to scrub the incident here away. More proof that the rotten Talos is at every single level. He comes with military operators, which we discovered earlier. Now, the issue here is we get two objectives while Dahl is here, and it makes us act a little confused and honestly too long and a little dragging. One is to scan the coral the Typhon have been making to make the null wave, a device that kills all Typhon instead of just blowing up Talos, saving everyone and the data. The second is dealing with Dahl. Don't get me wrong, Dahl is actually really interesting with all the stuff he can do and how he reacts to do. For instance, he can trick you with calls for help, which you will know are fake if you found that staff member. Cut off the 0G and guts, which makes it an absolute nightmare to go through.
Gravitational shift in 3, 2, 1. Gravity is now set to 1G.
Turns operators' sensors from making ones that are useful to make military ones, and most interesting, if you killed absolutely everyone you've seen, will be friendly and commend you for being proactive and makes a deal with you. You kill everyone left and he leaves here with you.
Morgan, this is Dahl. You really are the daughter of Will and Kathy Yu. I've heard you were clever, so I came prepared to flush you out. Ambushes and hostage scenarios. Ah well. No one told me you'd be on my side. There's hardly anyone left for me to kill. So, I say, let's work together. My tech officer will send you the names of a few hard-to-reach employees. Mop them up, and we can fly home before the football match.
This, of course, is a trick, and he will betray you, but it's interesting that it was thought up. To cut him off from the station and all its control he has, you'll have to find his tech engineer known as Caspar, who can spawn at a variety of different locations, and you can deal with him however you want. But after that, if Igwe is still alive, you are given the option to capture him when he tries to cut off life support and rip out his neuromods implanted before he was given the mission to trick him into helping us, thus giving you and everyone left alive a way out if you destroy Talos. But, from a moral standpoint, you're essentially doing what the Talos staff did to you. Is it really worth it? The second objective is just scanning the stuff, which can be done in like 5 minutes and gives information. Namely, the Typhon eat consciousness, and the coral is made out of that consumed consciousness, which is contacting something. We just don't know what it is. After whatever you decide to do with that doll, the real last act, yes, there's like 2 last acts, which is kind of weird, happens when you meet Alex, who gives you his army key, with a new faith that you won't even use it.
And the army key, like I What? Morgan!
Was contacting this big boy, Apex. This is the big threat we've been hearing about, that we apparently foresaw, as well as what the fake chef has been going on and on about. Here our goal is to leave and find a way to deal with it. You can also save Alex on the way out. The Apex is crazy as it changes every single part of the ship similar to Doll. For instance, several areas like the crew quarters and engineering is completely consumed and blocked off. Some areas like the lobby and guts are breached with tendrils leaking in to attack you. And because the developers knew someone would try, if you try to scan the Apex, you are reduced to 1 HP, feared, and lose all side points, which feels like you just got kidnapped by the G-Man. Here all side quests are failed or cancelled as you can't complete a lot of them anymore, because this is the end of the game. So our real options here are to do the prep for the main endings, which you can do at the same time before you decide what you want to do. My headcanon is Morgan is smart, considers all his decisions, and prepares both endings. One is to create that nullway device and prep it for use in psychotronics, at the heart of the coral, in the probe where the Typhon were originally found. The second is to take both of those arming keys back to the power plant and prepare the self-destruct sequence. Either way you do this, both of these options have us converge back at the bridge, where we can make our choice. And if you convince Dahl, he will prepare the ship and load everyone you saved onto it, leaving you with just one final conversation and choice.
What?
Morgan.
Morgan? Maybe. I see a person who looks like Morgan, you.
Morgan, be cautious. Your brother is unstable. He may not permit you to activate the self-destruct. Also, he's armed.
Unstable? Is that a joke, operator? You've let this machine poison you. I wish you understood. I've bet the course of this entire station around what you wanted. I let you persuade me, and now you're gonna throw it all away? Just stop and think for 1 goddamn second, Morgan.
The safety is off on his firearm.
I think you've said enough. I would never harm you, Morgan. Never. This machine, it had your voice. I knew from the video you'd done something with operators, but this? It's not too late, you know. We can still salvage this. You change your mind once, you can change it again. I won't stop you if you decide to end it all. I told you I wouldn't. So, what's it gonna be?
What should you do with Talos, and how should you stop the Typhon? Destroy Talos and all Typhon life and our data on it, including neuromods. It's final, annihilating everything. But who says the Typhon don't come back after what happened with the Apex? It could just be a splinter feat like the Tyranids from Warhammer, and we'd be left with no information on how to fight them off as a species, as the Typhon are implied heavily throughout the game to be the cause of the Fermi paradox. A chance that, to me, isn't worth taking. The Null Wave, on the other hand, destroys all of the Typhon physically here, while preserving Talos and all the information. Yes, there is the issue of Typhon data, which could be used in bad faith, and the fact that the ending dialogue tells us that neuromods are still made after, so there has to be more Typhons somewhere.
What is a neuromod? Well, it's both an easy answer and a complicated one at the same time. It is the future, today. More importantly, our past, today. This is the work TranStar does. Every employee working together. It's immortality, and it is beautiful.
But if the Typhon come back uncontrolled, we have information and the upper hand now that we know how to deal with them, in theory at least. What you want to do here is once again up to you with no real right answer, as when talking about your choice and after making it, the screen fades to black leaving you to ponder what happened. I just gotta say, After all of this, the game is amazing. Everything has been perfect for me. I love this game. It's an experience you have to try. As I've mentioned before, everything in this game is great. But just like Deus Ex Mankind Divided, this ending is really underwhelming and where it makes it feel a little confused and unfinished. However, there are some nice parts to this still. For instance, January's end, where if you took known Typhon-based mods, he deems you no threat to Earth and tells you to kill him so you can leave. Or if you took some, you must die here. I also like how the escape ending kinda reminds me of Mass Effect 2 Suicide Mission or 3 where the Normandy flies off at the end. Really weird comparison. However, it's there. But there's actually one more thing that makes this feel weirder.
It's finished. How did it do?
Activation of the mirror neurons is promising. Empathy quotient shows to be exceptionally high.
It probably thinks it was dreaming, and nothing mattered.
You're assuming it thinks like us.
Its life depends on it. Ours too. It all comes down to the choices it made.
It was all in the head. You were a Typhon that whole time, in a simulation which has leaked every once in a while with the flashes we saw. Alex and some of the crew we saved are testing us to see if we can implant human emotion then thoughts into the Typhon, which are one-minded in their destruction. We were just living through the real Morgan's memories with no real answer of what happened to him, or if what we saw was even real in the first place. The only thing we know for real is that Earth did fall, and we are the last solution. It's actually foreshadowed really early with this log.
Neuromods can already adapt Typhon material to the human mind. There's no reason in principle the reverse wouldn't work.
Say you managed to insert human neurons into a Typhon. How will you know it was successful?
The new neural structures would need to mature over a series of actual experiences.
Or simulated ones.
What?
Simulate the experiences. Calvino. He has...
Right, okay, look, it's fascinating, but let's focus on what we know is working.
Every moral test in question was genuinely talking to you, the player, and you, the alien, of what makes you human, namely feeling empathy and treating people with compassion. But now here's the choice. Do you want to cooperate with humanity or kill them all? Really interesting concept on paper, but in practice, yeah, this kinda sucks and can kinda ruin the game for some people. It is really the most controversial part of the game, and I really don't blame anyone who hated this, as even the team is conflicted about this last arc, because playtesters originally hated the last part of the game due to it being too long and unfun, which towards the end I can see glimpses of, as even though there's so much good about this game, it became kind of a slog at the end. I think the ending sucked, but didn't ruin the experience that Prey is. For some people it did, and I totally understand. Well, for some people, the kill ending is really good because it adds a Cthulhu-like mythos of you can't really understand the Typhon. Even then, it's hard to say if ending the game earlier and not being a simulation would have been better. It's really just one of those what-if situations we will never know. There's still a lot I didn't cover due to the pure amount of content here. Content's so good, this is one of my favorite games of all time, that I really wish got more attention, and I hope you do check it out, which you probably will if you got this far. Especially since nowadays you can get this game really cheap. Like, I picked this thing up for about $5 back in December. Yeah, it took me a while to get to this game. It really is one of the few labors of love in gaming where you can feel that people really put their heart and soul into making an amazing game where you pay full price for something, get an amazing experience, not having to worry about updates or any stupid microtransactions, even despite its kinda iffy third arc. I genuinely don't think you'll experience anything like this game for a very long time, or in much of what is out there, even when games like Elden Ring still exist. It is a shame that despite, after all that, Arcane fumbled with Redfall, where most of the people who worked on Prey left, meaning we probably won't see another Prey game or a game of this quality from the studio. I appreciate every single one of you who gave this video a second of your time, and I also do want to take this moment to thank everyone who subbed as well. I really don't like hounding people about subbing and notifications because I personally find it annoying, but I really do want to just say thank you for helping me get the new smaller partner requirements, even as we approach on 1,000 subscribers, which is insane. I never thought anyone would actually care what I think about games, so it means a lot to me to share my thoughts and hear yours out in the comments below. I'm really doing my best here to put out as much content as I can while I have a crazy work schedule and work at school at the same time, so I'm hoping I'm not too slow for you guys and manage to put out content you guys really like. So, thanks again. I'm starting fall semester soon, so I might take a small break while I wait for Armored Core 6, or just put more development time into this. We'll see. Speaking of Armored Core, that will be the next video because I love mecha. I'm very excited to see you then. Bye bye.